So I'm taking you on a little tour of the Simple Box vacuum box that I made. The core tenets of this box are that it's easy to construct and everything's modular. So the first things that you see here are these four mufflers. These mufflers are used in central vacuum systems. So I believe that they're in the neighborhood of $10 each, maybe even a little less. They're readily available online, and they connect with some simple 2-inch PVC central vac plumbing, which can also be purchased from the same source. You'll see up here we have some of the motors. The motors are, again, simple vacuum motors that you can get online. These are two 220-volt fans that pull air across the motors. These are standard flex ducts that you can purchase from Home Depot. So the air really moves in three different directions with these motors. It moves into the manifold, which I'll show you in a second. There's also an air intake that you can see with the fans. I can show you in some pictures. And then there's also some exhaust that goes through these mufflers. And so a big part of this box is just separating those three different air paths and making sure that the motors don't overheat. The next thing I want to show you is the five different contactors that I have here. These are 220-volt motors, so they really need to have a contactor per motor. They can't run on a simple switch unless it was a 2-pole switch, but it's just smarter to run them on contactors. In this particular case, these contactors are running on 24 volts AC. This transformer is providing that power to turn the contactors on and off. It's possible to have contactors that also run off of 110 volts AC. In this particular case, I like working with low voltage better, but to simplify the box, I might consider going to 110 volt contactors and also moving to 110 volt case fans to simplify that wiring. So these are just two, as I pointed out, two different case fans that pull air across the motors. So next I'd like to take a look at the manifold. I'm just gonna take a walk around here. And the manifold is really the only thing that needs to be airtight in this box. So there are some box designs that require that you seal up the whole box. In this particular case, this manifold is the only part that deals with pulling a vacuum and keeping parts connected to your table. So I was careful about gluing all these seams down. This is 3-inch PVC, and these are some blast gates. One of the aspects of this box that I'm really excited about is it really allows you to engage the motors one at a time. So you can engage the motors if you only want one motor. You can simply flip the switch and then close all these other blast gates, and then you don't have any leakage of vacuum through the motors that aren't running. And then you can simply pull the blast gates open and engage the motors with these switches as you need it. As I was talking about earlier, there are some thermoresistors inside that respond to the temperature of the box. So whenever I engage the master switch, which you can hear, it's pulling a vacuum. Whenever I engage the master switch, that allows me to turn on any of the four motors. It also is a 2-pole switch, so it engages these case fans, which we saw from the inside here. And so that those case fans are always running when the motors are running. The case fans are also running when the ambient temperature of the box is warm. I don't remember the rating of this resistor offhand, but if you run the box for a little while, it will the temperature inside the box will go up a bit, and even when you turn off the motors, this thermoresistor makes sure that the contactor for the fans here stays on so that it's cooling the inside of the box down. There are also thermoresistors that are connected directly to the motors. It's a little hard to see with the glare, but connected here, these are simple thermoresistors that I purchased from DigiKey. They're wired in series, so each one of these motors has a thermoresistor, and they prevent any kind of overheating. So initially I talked with Ward. He was the salesperson that supplied the motors from Lighthouse Motors for me. And he says that a number of folks have come back and suggested or have burned out their motors and have needed new ones. And so in this case, I wanted to make sure that I could protect the motors a little bit, even though a lot of folks say that they don't have any issues. So really making this box is completely modular. As I think I suggested, separating the box, the airflow into three. This is intake. This box right here is a tunnel, really, that allows the motors to pull in air and cool themselves. So that tunnel currently has some baffles in it. I haven't tested it without the baffles. It's possible that it'll be quiet enough that it won't need them, and it would be nice to keep the design even a little bit simpler. But those are one of the pathways that the air comes through. The other is these mufflers here, and the third is this manifold right here. This manifold, by the way, is bolt-on. So the PVC goes up right to the face of where the motors sit, but sits slightly below this face of the MDF. And then this face of the MDF, I put 5 coats of shellac on. So it has it's definitely airtight. And then I used heat-resistant foam to seal the motors against this MDF. So basically this MDF is just acting as a motor mount. And if you ever, for example, needed to maintain a motor or replace a motor, you could simply remove it with these bolts. And if you ever needed to change out the manifold, they're simply a collection of bolts here that will allow you to maintain the manifold. So really, I wanted to create a box that was very modular. I wanted to create a system where people could build large parts of the box, but then if they had some difficulty with really most of the different aspects, they could just ask for some help and maybe even have the manifold shipped, for example, and then build the box up. And you'll see that really the rest of the MDF wiring here, or the MDF work here, it's a very simple box. Thus the name is the Simple Box. So I look forward to sending out plans to people. I hope that folks would be interested in building it. I need to still do some more testing. Actually, I haven't machined the plenum and haven't run it on my machine yet. But I'm really confident that this box has a lot of potential. I think that there's a lot to be gained here. So thank you for your interest, and please send me some comments and tell me what you think.